My husband lost two uncles in the Markham disaster, one on his mother's side and one on his dad's side. And he saw the appeal in the Derbyshire Times from Sandra, and unbeknown to me, he rings Sandra and he didn't know that I knew her. So anyway, he was talking to his sister and she says, oh, let's try and get some money together, let's have a family party. Now, they're both big families, so mum's side we very often meet, but dad's side we didn't. Anyway, somebody said, yeah, let's have a family party, a family get-together. So Frank's trying to sort out this family party, which we're hoping should be about 100 people there, but we're hoping to raise enough money to buy two of the little men. So most people that we've spoken to have said, yes, I'll be there, but only by, yes, I'll be there, no telephone calls. And Frank's made it quite clear to them that if they come, it's a free buffet, but he wants their money. And so he's done very well because he's a bit quiet, has to be, doesn't he? So we're expecting about 100 people, and I think that's wonderful. Ted has never been forgotten in Mum's family. When we have these get-togethers, his daughters are there, the ones that, because his wife had got married again and had some more daughters, so they were all Auntie Edna's girls. But on the other side, on Harry Lavender's side, we've not talked about him so much. We've tried to find some descendants of his, directly from Harry. And we've drawn a blank, which is so sad, because Uncle Ted is remembered every time we meet, and Harry Lavender has just disappeared. Somebody's done some research for us to try and find where Harry is, but can't find anything. It's amazing because we come to the meetings here, and Frank's story always was young Harry Lavender. I knew him as well when me and Frank were first married, and he used to work in the lamp cabin. And of course, when the miners come up the pit, they've got to hand the lamps in. But Harry used to go and wait for his dad to come up, so his dad could go straight home. And he took the lamp back to the cabin and did what needed doing. Well, of course, he didn't come this night. And we've always thought what a poignant story that is. So we came to the meeting last time, and there was a lady there that hadn't been before. And as soon as we said Harry Lavender, oh, she says, I've got his lamp. I've got his oil lamp. And we were just amazed, so she's going to lend it to us for a little while. She says, I know where it is. And she said that Auntie Mary, that was Harry Lavender's wife, gave it to her grandma, because her grandma had lost her husband and two sons. And Auntie Mary said, you've got nothing, take this. Frank always worked on pit top when I knew him. He worked down the pit, but he got, I can't think what it is, he got a bad chest, and they advised him to come on pit top. So he did at first work on the railway wagons that carted the stuff up and down. But then eventually they brought in the dumper scheme, and he was the first man at Markham to drive the first dumper that they had. And he did that after that. But he went to all kinds of different pits to do different jobs. I never used to know where he'd been. And for years they worked for 12 hours days and 12 hours night at Markham, which was a long time. He didn't really see a lot of the kids and things like that. So he'd come in and have his tea, and if I wanted to go to WI or anything else, I'd go out. And it was like that, ships that pass in the night kind of thing.
How did you feel about that? Was it like it gave you more freedom, or did you miss
I didn't miss anything. But I mean, for one thing, and it might sound big-headed, I'm not that sort of person, but Frank did like to stay at home. So he was there. But on the other hand, you see, if they didn't work all these hours, they didn't get so much money. So in actual fact, it was a good life. It was a good living. And a lot of his friends and wives say the same thing. It was hard work. It was regular work. But you knew what you were doing. I mean, things did happen. He was once driving a newish dumper, and I think it was new. And he caught the door on the wall and nearly ripped the door off. First time he'd been out on pit top. So he got into trouble for that, but he's always good, and steady bloke, you know, high husband. And he used to come home and tell me all sorts of little tales that they'd done. Somebody used to take the dog in the cabin, and everybody used to feed it and they didn't want them to, and all kinds of things. I can't just remember at the moment. But he never grumbled. It gave us a good life, and we knew it. We were grateful for it. And it's given us a good life in our old age as well. I don't think it mattered to them too much. There was always either one or the other one of us there. And my mum lived just round the corner. So in the morning to go to school, I could just drop them in with her for a few minutes, and the bus stop was at the bottom of her drive, which is pretty good. No, I think they realised that because he worked such long hours, that's why we could do the things that we did. Yeah, I don't think it bothered them at all. And I have asked them if they feel, because I went out to work, you know how it is. And I've asked them since they've grown up, did you feel that you were neglected because we were both working? And they said, no, it's how it was, and that's it. When the cage went down in the 1973 disaster, Frank was actually at work. And I used to have to wait for him to come home with the car to take the kids to school. But anyway, we were all getting ready for school, and it was on the radio that there'd been this cage go down at Markham. And the kid says, is Dad all right? I says, yeah, he'll be all right because he's only on pit top. But he was a bit nearer to the cage than I realised. And that's been coming out as we've been doing these discussions and that. I don't quite understand what he meant, but he was a bit close to the cage. And when he saw what had happened, he said, I ran away as fast as I could. But he knew that cage was going to go down because, they had signs for things and that. And he says, when I saw that go past that mark, he says, I knew there was trouble. And he just moved away as fast as he could because you don't know what's going to happen to you. Of course I was worried. We were all worried. Miners' wives always were worried. It was all right in the morning setting off. Get up, go to school, Dad's gone to work. But if he wasn't home when you got back from school, that's when you worried. Beginning of the shift was fine, the end of the shift was not so fine. And of course, I went to Netherthorpe School, and a lot of the kids there, the fathers worked down the mine. And there was the Markham Cresswell Colliery, had a fire. And of course they'd had to come on the buses and that, and we didn't know because we were in class. But it was so quiet and so eerie, and we're saying, what's the matter? There's a fire down Cresswell Pit. And it just stopped everything. You just did your work and carried on and kept saying, has your dad come home yet? And the girl that sat next to me, there was 4 bodies that they couldn't get out, and one of them was her uncle. So, you just live with it, but it's horrible. It's like a lot of other jobs, isn't it? He came home, which was something. I didn't quite think he might come home that early, but he did come home. And of course you ask him, is it bad? Do we know anybody that's killed? How many are killed? That's always the first question. And of course, we did know 1 or 2, or 1 or 2 that were injured, because you do. People in mines, you all live together sort of thing. And I have a friend whose husband should have been on that shift. And he went to see his friend that had got injured quite some time after, and he says, I'm sorry you know, you've got injured in that, and this bloke says, half a life's better than no life at all, Joe. So the resignation to whatever had happened, but he was still alive. And I think that's, I don't know, it's just something about being miners and living together and looking after each other.